This is Bulletin number 8, issued by Middle East Command. Up until 11 o'clock this morning, news bulletins by Middle East Command show the situation remains fairly quiet in all areas. Curfew breakers do not appear to be trying to provoke security forces, but are mainly homeless or over-curious. One of 3 Arabs shot at in 3 separate incidents in Aden was injured and taken to hospital. At Little Aden, no casualties were caused in a grenade attack on a 2-vehicle patrol. 1 suspect was detained. Troops used tear smoke to disperse a crowd of 30 in Crater and made 4 arrests. Total grenade incidents are now 25. There have been 6 shootings, 1 mortar and 2 bazooka attacks, and 1 explosion. Altogether, 13 local nationals have been wounded and 2 killed. That, literally hot from the press, is Bulletin number 8, straight from Middle East Command. There has been little traffic on the roads this morning, and the situation is generally quiet, apart from 2 incidents in Crater and 1 in Sheikh Othman. In the first, a 36 grenade was thrown at a picket of the 5th Fusiliers, and a rifle shot was fired at them from a building nearby. There were no casualties, but in an immediate follow-up, 25 Arabs were detained. In the second, an F1 grenade was thrown at another picket near the main market. 1 soldier was very slightly injured. In Sheikh Othman, a grenade was thrown just near the mosque at a 3rd Royal Anglian mobile patrol, but caused no casualties. Small crowds of about 50 gathered in both Sheikh Othman and Crater just before lunch, but were quickly dispersed. That's the end of the current security report. And now an announcement which has been broadcast a little earlier in the afternoon, but just in case you missed it. While the general strike is in operation, and during the period of the present difficulties, a water ferry service is being run between the Admiralty Pier, HMS Sheba, and Obstruction Pier, Cormaxa. That's where the Marine Craft Flight and Cormaxa Sailing Club are situated. Boats will leave the respective piers simultaneously on the hour from 0700 until 1800. After 1800, boats will run only on request to HMS Sheba. This is an emergency service only laid on to prevent excessive demands for road transport and to enable service personnel to move from one side of Aden to the other. That's the end of the announcement. Now here once again is the first of today's series of news bulletins which will be issued from time to time by Middle East Command. It has been a quiet night everywhere. Up to the time this bulletin was released at 05:30, there had been no incidents since 20 to 1 this morning, and only 6 curfew breakers had been arrested. There were 3 incidents shortly after the last bulletin was issued at 10:30 last night. 2 bazookas were fired at the house of the Federal Minister of Defense in Dar Sad, but the house was not damaged and there were no casualties. Later, a grenade was thrown in number 1 Street, Tawahi, but there was no apparent target. 3 mortar bombs were fired at a mobile patrol near Al-Ittihad, but again, there was neither damage nor casualties. To sum up then, there have so far been 24 grenades, 5 shooting incidents, 1 bazooka and 1 mortar attack since the disturbances started yesterday morning. In these incidents, 6 British soldiers received minor injuries. 1 terrorist has been killed by the security forces and 6 others shot and wounded. In addition, 7 other local nationals, including a policeman, have been injured, 4 of them seriously. A total of 8 terrorists have been captured and over 100 other suspects detained. That's the end of the 6th bulletin to be issued by Middle East Command. Now, a reminder to everybody that a general curfew came into force throughout the whole of Aden State from midnight last night until further notice. All are warned that they are legally bound to comply with this order. Members of the government, the armed forces, the civil police, the medical department, fire services and cable and wireless are exempted from the order. Persons and organizations wishing exemption to perform essential services should apply to the nearest police station for curfew passes. Applications for exemption by other members of the public will be considered by the police. In cases of illness, persons should contact the nearest police officer or member of the security forces. A general curfew was also imposed on Dar Sad from midnight last night until further notice. All are warned that they're legally bound to comply with this order. Members of the armed forces on duty, state police, medical and fire services are exempt from this order. A quick repetition now of the details of yesterday's temperatures. The maximum was 28 centigrade, 83 Fahrenheit at midday, when the wet bulb was 22 centigrade, 71 Fahrenheit, and the humidity 56%. The minimum was 23 centigrade, 74 Fahrenheit at 2 o'clock in the morning, when the wet bulb was 21 centigrade, 69 Fahrenheit, and the humidity 73%. The highest wind speed was 22 knots. If you haven't already heard, FBS will be staying on the air after our normal close-down time of 8:15 this morning, and we will in fact be on the air continuously from now until midnight tonight. It's very nearly 18 minutes past 7, and high time for the Breakfast Club.